Welcome to a harsh reality broadcast on the 30th of October 2013. After a very long search, I am pleased to announce that I have found an honest candidate who is a leader of a newly formed political party in the UK. It was like trying to find hen's teeth, or even the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I would therefore like to welcome James, who is to my right. I would also like to welcome Sad Bob. Hey Sad Bob, give us a smile. For goodness sake, Bob, try and make an effort. Okay, James, the mainstream media would lead us believe that all is well and that we are in a recovery. What is your assessment of the economic position?
Tony, you better sit down, or better still take a leaf out of Tracy's book. The economic position is dire. It is very bleak indeed. In fact, if something is not done soon to address the problem, a horrific depression will arrive further down the road.
So, what is in your manifesto?
Well, you did ask, and I am going to tell you it straight. First of all, I would attempt to balance the budget within 3 years. I appreciate that it cannot be done straight away, as it would cause a very deep depression now. However, we cannot continue with the path that the US and many Western countries are taking, and that is piling debt on more debt. I appreciate that a move to balance the budget within 3 years would be very painful, and it would mean that many spending programs by the government will have to be shelved. But there is no alternative to that measure.
What do you mean by very painful?
Steve, your standard of living will have to be reduced by about 30%.
Are you kidding? Nobody will vote for you with that policy.
Okay, let's do a straw poll. Anne, would you vote for James?
No, his policy is too harsh. Times are already tough for us now. People can hardly get by as it is at the moment.
Robert, would you vote for James?
No way, Jose. I am with Ann on this. Times are already tough. I want a better standard of living, and I will be voting in a politician that will promise this.
James, it seems like you have your work cut out convincing people.
I am not campaigning to be popular. I just want to tell the public the truth, and the measures we need to take to get back on the road to recovery. Firstly, people have to accept the reality. I have put it up on the screen behind you.
I don't think your campaign slogan is wise.
Steve, it is the truth. I cannot dress it up any other way. Believe it or not, we are extremely wealthy compared to the average person 100 years ago. We have cars, cheap energy, plentiful food, and yet people are complaining about their standard of living.
Can you not see that our standard of living has fallen?
Steve, the only reason our standard of living has fallen is because it got far too high in the first place by borrowing from the future. Steve, you need some reality therapy. Think about this. The weight of an average car with passengers is about 1,200 kilograms. On average, 1 gallon will power a car for 40 miles. The cost of 1 gallon in the UK is about £5. The average wage in the UK is about £10 per hour. In other words, it only takes half an hour of labour to power a car 40 miles. How long do you think it would take to push a car that far?
I don't know.
Let's say you can manage 2 miles a day. It would take you 20 days. So to put matters into perspective, energy is still very cheap. However, it will get much more expensive in relative terms. Steve, the golden days are over. We all need to get used to that.
I can tell you now, with that your attitude, you won't have a cat in hell's chance of being elected.
You know what, Steve? You are right. And that's because there are too many people like you. If there were more people like Wise William who have the power of reason and are critical thinkers, I would get elected. But people want hope. They want to hear good news. They want security. So they vote for people who promise that. But the sad thing is, those politicians who come across as optimistic are storing catastrophic problems for the future. In a nutshell, you don't get something for nothing. I know that I am a lone voice. I know that I will get very few votes, but I am honest. But unfortunately, honesty does not get you votes. However, I will never compromise my position. I accept that our standard of living is going to fall. What I cannot accept is the gap between the rich and poor continually rising. That is immoral and people should wake to that and do something about it.
Thank you, James, for a very informative talk. I have noted that the Dow Jones Index currently stands at 15,610. It is at a record high, and this is on the backdrop of very poor economic news. The markets are rising in the expectation that the Federal Reserve Bank will accelerate quantitative easing. It is all going to end in tears when reality hits.